We have updates on Gerrit Cole, Dylan Cease, and Devin Williams up next on Fantasy Baseball Today in 5. Welcome into FBT in 5 on Thursday, March 14th. I am Frank Stanfield, joined by Scott White. And let's start with Gerrit Cole, who will miss at least 1 to 2 months with that elbow injury that he's dealing with. Manager Aaron Boone said that Cole will continue to undergo additional testing. Scott, how far did you drop Gerrit Cole in your rankings?
Not as far as most people, it sounds like. I dropped him to right around 100 in my overall roto rankings. That puts him 27th at starting pitcher. I kind of pulled Blake Snell down with him for different reasons. And those two are in between Yuri Perez and Chris Sale in my starting pitcher rankings. And, part of the reason for this is they've gotten a lot of looks at that elbow and haven't been able to find any UCL damage. It sounds like they may suspect more is going on there, and we'll see what Gerrit Cole's visit to Dr. Neil Elatrage turns up. And maybe it'll turn out to be something more significant. But at the very least, we know he's missing a month or two. And so, if it's closer to a month, if he's back in early May, he's going to be a great value there. Where I have him just inside the top 30 at starting pitcher. So I don't want to overreact and miss out on 5/6 of a season's worth of stats from arguably the best pitcher in fantasy, certainly one of the top two. But I suspect how I'm actually going to approach it in drafts is I'm going to have him ranked where I rank him. And I'm going to push the limit. See how far I can wait to take him. And if, like, on my tier sheet, all the names all around him are crossed out for a couple rounds, okay, I probably need to take Gerrit Cole at that point.
All right, let's slide over to Dylan Cease, who we thought maybe would wind up on the Yankees. Wrong. He was traded to the Padres in exchange for 3 prospects, 2 pitchers in Drew Thorpe and Jairo Iriarte, plus an outfielder Samuel Zavala and reliever Steven Wilson. Dylan Cease had a down year last year, 4.58 ERA, 142 whip, still had 214 strikeouts, the 8th most in baseball. Scott, do you plan to move Dylan Cease up in the rankings following this trade?
Not really. He's 24th in my starting pitcher rankings, and that's where I'm keeping him. I think he's going to have a pretty good year, is Dylan Cease. I think there's a good chance it goes a lot like his 2021 season, where he went 13-7 with a 3.91 ERA, 1.25 whip, 12.3 K per 9. I think that would make him about the 25th best starting pitcher. And that's kind of the middle ground between his 2022 season when he was AL Cy Young runner-up and his 2023 season where he wrecked your ERA and whip ball season. And you really regretted drafting him. And that's like the range of outcomes for Dylan Cease, like best pitcher in baseball, or one of them anyway, ERA whip disaster, or, pretty good guy who's an elite source of strikeouts. And with that wide range of outcomes, I don't think it matters so much, this trade, for his fantasy value. It's just a matter of which Dylan Cease shows up, and whatever uniform he's wearing, whatever park he's in. I don't think it makes a big difference as far as that goes. He's had a dominant spring so far, tiny sample, spring environment. Who knows what to take from that? But I do think it's interesting that the trade chatter heated up for Dylan Cease once he started making headlines with his performance.
And late on Wednesday night, we got an update from Jeff Passan that Brewers closer Devin Williams has 2 stress fractures in his back and is expected to miss around 3 months of the season. It's a huge loss for the Brewers and for fantasy. Williams was being drafted as the top closer with an ADP of 51.8. Scott, who is next up in the Brewers bullpen?
So we can only guess right now. They haven't said for sure. Yoel Payamps is my choice. He had a good ERA last year, 2.55, 105 whip, 9.8 K per 9, and was the 8th inning guy most of the year. New manager now, so who knows if he'll follow the same patterns that Craig Counsell was. But Yoel Payamps seems like the most obvious one. There is also Abner Uribe, 23-year-old hard thrower, tons of strikeout potential, but pretty wild. Has some of that closer in waiting vibe, and I could see the Brewers going that direction instead. Also, Trevor McGill is a possibility until they make it clear, unless they actually say this is who's filling in for Devin Williams in the 9th inning. I'm going to be reluctant to draft any of these guys ahead of I keep forgetting his name.
Robert Suarez
or Jose Leclerc, Padres Rangers. They're closing options. Yoel Payamps would be the first one I took from the Brewers bullpen, but it would be behind those guys.
All right. For more extensive fantasy baseball coverage, listen to the Fantasy Baseball Today podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, the Audacy app, or anywhere else podcasts are found. Thanks for listening to Fantasy Baseball Today in 5, and we'll be back again tomorrow. Bye-bye.